Good morning, Dat. It's Tuesday, April 26th, and today's election day here in Maryland for the primaries. I don't know how much you know about the U.S. election process, but I'm going to go over some aspects of at least the Maryland elections, and hopefully it isn't too repetitive for you. You probably know the U.S. has two main political parties: the Republicans, who were established in 1854, and their modern philosophy is American conservatism, and the Democrats, who were established in 1828, and their philosophy is modern liberalism. But we also have a bunch of minor political parties, the big ones being the Green Party, the Libertarians, and the Constitution Party. In primary elections like the one today, people pick a party and vote for one candidate in each race to run for that party in the general election in November. Like a lot of other states, Maryland has closed primaries, which I don't really like. In a closed primary, you have to be registered for the party of the candidate you want to vote for. So if you want to vote for a Republican, you have to be registered as a Republican, and if you want to vote for a Democrat, you have to be registered as a Democrat. And Republicans and Democrats are generally the only two parties that are big enough to have primaries. If you don't like any of the candidates from your party, or if you're registered as a third party, that means you pretty much can't vote in the primary unless you switch your registration by the registration deadline. And for this election, that was April 5th. I really don't like closed primaries. I'd much prefer to just be registered as an independent and then vote for whoever in whichever party I wanted. But with the closed primary system, I really feel like I have to be registered as one of the two main parties in order to be able to vote in the primaries and have my voice heard as much as possible. But something I do like that Maryland does is early voting. They started allowing early voting in the 2010 primaries. They basically set up a couple polling places in each county about 2 weeks before the election day, and they're open all week and you can go anytime during the day and vote. Most people still like to vote on election day, so usually if you go to early voting, you pretty much don't have to wait in line at all, which is really great. Another thing I really like about early voting is that you don't have an assigned polling place during early voting. You can go to any of the polling places that are open, but if you vote on election day, you have to vote at your assigned polling place. So you can end up waiting for a couple hours in line, get to the front of the line and be told you're at the wrong polling place and have to do it all over again at another place. One thing that really surprised me this year when I went to vote was that they'd switched to a paper ballot. I started voting in the primaries in 2008, and ever since then we've always had touchscreens. I really liked the touchscreens because you could clearly see which candidate was selected on the screen, so I was never worried that, like, oh, maybe it hadn't scanned correctly or anything like that. So I was really surprised when I went and they handed me a paper ballot. It kind of seemed like we were taking a step back, but apparently Maryland passed a law in 2007 that required a paper record, and it's just taken them this long to overhaul the voting system. I think it's for security reasons, as it's apparently way easier to commit voter fraud with electronic systems. With paper systems, you need a lot more coordination and people to actually, you have to physically get the ballots and change them. But with an electronic system, you don't need as many people, and you can do it from anywhere on the planet, so it's a lot easier to hack. But I still miss the touchscreen. So even though today's election day, I actually voted last Wednesday in early voting. Here's my I voted sticker, which they hand out when you're done voting. I think it's a way to encourage voter turnout because on election day, there's a bunch of people walking around wearing them. And if you've forgotten that it's election day, you might see those stickers and be like, oh yeah, I need to go vote. I don't know. I kind of like them. They're kind of fun. So Dat, I hope you found that interesting and it wasn't just stuff you already knew. If you'd like to share anything with me about politics in Vietnam, I'd love to hear it. I don't really know too much about Vietnam, so that would be really interesting. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you on Friday.